Today is March the 12th. How did God accomplish his purpose? Let's continue reading Acts 28. We'll read from 11 to 22. 3 months later, we set sail on a ship that had wintered on the island, an Alexandrian ship with the twin brothers as its figurehead. We put in at Syracuse and stayed there for 3 days. Then we weighed anchor and came to Rhegium. After 1 day there, a south wind sprang up. On the second day, we came to Puteoli. There we found brothers and sisters and were invited to stay with them for 7 days. So we came to Rome. The brothers and sisters from there, when they heard of us, came as far as the Forum of Appius and 3 taverns to meet us. On seeing them, Paul thanked God and took courage. When we came to Rome, Paul was allowed to live by himself with the soldier who was guarding him. 3 days later, he called together the local leaders of the Jews. When they had assembled, he said to them, "Brothers, though I've done nothing against our people or the customs of our ancestors, yet I was arrested in Jerusalem, handed over to the Romans. When they had examined me, the Romans wanted to release me because there was no reason for the death penalty in my case. But when the Jews objected, I was compelled to appeal to the emperor, even though I had no charge to bring against my people. For this reason, therefore, I ask to see you and speak with you, since it's for the sake of the hope of Israel that I am bound with this chain." They replied, "We've received no letters from Judea about you. None of the brothers coming here has reported or spoken anything evil about you. But we'd like to hear from you what you think, for with regard to this sect, we know that everywhere it is spoken against." Well, they get on an Alexandrian ship that had harbored in Malta. Luke makes a point of saying that it had a masthead of the twin gods, Castor and Pollux, Gemini from the zodiac, the twins. They go around Sicily, they go to Italy, and again we get a travelogue of them moving up the western coast of Italy until they come to the town that's called the 3 Taverns. Tavern or shop, the 3 shops. The letter of Romans, Paul's letter, has already been sent. Personally, I think it may have been written while he was imprisoned in Caesarea Maritima. There is a church already here in Italy. It most likely came from those who visited Jerusalem during the Passover and found Jesus there. Paul gets to Rome. He's placed under house arrest. A little bit different from what we have today. There's no ankle monitor. Instead, there's an ankle soldier. Paul is chained to a soldier who is with him 24/7. Paul speaks to Christians there, but he also calls the Jews. They said that they had no letter from Jerusalem about him. This seems to indicate to me that in terms of the leaders of Jerusalem, Paul was out of sight, he was out of mind. The Jerusalem leaders just wanted Paul gone. When he was gone, situation resolved. You know, in the Old Testament, there is another story of one whom others just wanted gone. Let's read Genesis chapter 37 and see what Joseph's brothers did to Joseph, whom they just wanted gone.
Genesis 37, New Revised Standard Edition. Jacob settled in the land where his father had lived as an alien, the land of Canaan. These are the descendants of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was shepherding the flock with his brothers. He was a helper to the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him an ornamented robe. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Once Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Suddenly my sheaf rose and stood up. Then your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us? Are you indeed to have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more because of his dreams and his words. He had another dream and told it to his brothers, saying, "Look, I have had another dream. The sun, the moon, and even the stars were bowing down to me." But when he told it to his father and his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, "What kind of dream is this that you have had? Shall we indeed come, I and your mother and your brothers, and bow down to the ground before you?" So his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in his mind. Now his brothers went to pasture their flock near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." He answered, "Here I am." So he said to him, "Now go, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring word back to me." So he sent him to the valley of Hebron. He came to Shechem, and a man found him wandering in the fields. The man asked him, "What are you seeking?" "I am seeking my brothers," he said. "Tell me, please, where they are pasturing the flock." The man said, "They have gone away, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They saw him from a distance, and before he came near to them, they conspired to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes this dreamer. Now come, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we shall say that a wild animal has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams." But when Reuben heard it, he delivered him out of their hands, saying, "Let us not take his life." Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, throw him into the pit here in the wilderness, but lay no hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hand and restore him to his father." So Joseph came to his brothers. They stripped him of his robe, the ornamented robe that he wore, and they took him and threw him into a pit. The pit was empty, there was no water in it. They sat down to eat and looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels carrying gum, balm, resin, on their way to carry it down to Egypt. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and not lay our hands on him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers agreed. When some Midianite traders passed by, they drew Joseph up, lifting him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they took Joseph to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the pit and saw that Joseph was not in the pit, he tore his clothes. He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and I, where can I turn?" Then they took Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They had the ornamented robe taken to their father, and they said, "We have found this. See now whether it is your son's robe or not." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. A wild animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth on his loins, and mourned for his son for many days. All his sons and his daughters sought to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and said, "No, I shall go down to Sheol to my son mourning." Thus his father bewailed him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard.
Joseph's brothers just wanted Joseph gone in a similar way. God used Paul's trip to Rome as a prisoner to accomplish his purposes, just like God used Joseph's trip to Egypt, first as a slave, then as a prisoner, to accomplish his purposes. So what do we do about this today? You know, it doesn't matter what your circumstance in life is. God is in control. What matters is that you stay connected to God so that you can do His will in whatever circumstance you find yourself. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. Once a week, New Hope Church releases its sermon from the previous week, just the sermon. You can find it on our YouTube channel, New Hope Church Greenwood IN, or any of our podcast channels.